Tell me about the derangement again.
Well, the way I hear it, 15, 20 years ago, the machines weren't always pissed off like they are now. When a hunter came at them, they'd spook and run. So it was hard to take them down, but not dangerous, so long as he was smart enough to jump out of the way. But then the derangement starts up and everything changes. Now, when a hunter fires a shot, the machines snarl and charge right at him. A few more years pass and they start attacking people on sight. Going anywhere becomes a major risk. And if that wasn't bad enough, entirely new kinds of machines start showing up. Bigger, meaner, and heavily armed.
Like the Sawtooth.
Yeah, 10 years ago, that one. But every couple of years or so, something worse comes along. Believe me.
So what's making it happen?
And no one knows. And the machines, well, they aren't telling.
There were just so many thoughts that came to mind when listening to them talk. Okay, so we're talking to Olin right now, and we're just getting ready for the proving. And there are a few things that I want to point out about how he's talking about how the machines evolved over time. And yes, we're talking about fictional characters. I recognize that, and we are talking about machines versus organic, or living organism. Let's say it like that. But let's play along, because they've clearly developed an entire evolutionary history of these machines, and so we're treating them as if they're living beings. So let's go based off of that. So he said that 15 to 20 years ago, the machines were not as aggressive towards human beings, and they obviously shared landscapes. They shared space after whatever conflict happened, and allowed the machines to come into the ecological power they're in right now, is how I'm going to phrase that. And so over time, over those 15 to 20 years, he said that they began to be like, when people would first interact with them, they were just spooked. They weren't aggressive or anything other than that. They fit into the whole mold of they're more afraid of you than we are of them, that kind of thing. They really fit into that well. They would just get spooked and run away. And we see that with some of the Striders and the Watchers, when after we kill a couple of them off and then the rest of them run away, we see that behavior kind of come back. But he said over those 15 to 20 years, they became more aggressive towards people. And that is called habituation. And that's something that we see in urban wildlife, in the real world, and real wildlife. That's something that we see often. And my quintessential example of that is coyotes. When animals, or just organisms for our purposes, when organisms become more adapted to human presence and human activity, then this phenomenon called habituation happens, where they start getting used to our presence. They start getting used to the environmental pressures that come with sharing space with human beings. And sometimes that comes out in a really negative way. Sometimes that means that they're going to be more aggressive towards us. And this is the derangement of the machines that Olin is talking about. And he says that they get deadlier every year. Okay, so then what does that mean? That means, let's just assume that these machines have a lifespan of 1 year. And so what that lifespan will make them, when it comes to the next year, then there's new machines that come about, that is one cohort. It's as if your class, like your high school or college class, you're the class of 2020, the new generation of machines will be called a cohort, the cohort of 2020, if you will. And so with every single cohort, as environmental pressures and human-related pressures, continue to persist, then their adaptations to these human pressures are going to be a type of evolution called, I won't say habituation is a type of evolution, but it is a somewhat evolutionary behavior. So let's just say that. So here we go again. We are now fighting the demon. So let's talk about the demon and what this means for predator-prey dynamics. Firstly, before anything else, because there are Striders with him, let's bring to light this term called mutualism. What mutualism is, and we've seen Striders display mutualistic behavior with the Watchers in this game so far. And mind you, just for context, this is right after the proving and after everybody, spoilers, everybody was fucking killed. I was the only one that survived. Aloy is extremely slow. Anyway, mutualistic behavior. Look, she's not. I'm holding down R3, by the way. Mutualistic behavior is when two different species of two different guilds, a guild being a, let's say it's a category on the food chain. So, are they a lower guild? Are they a higher guild? Are they consumers? Are they prey? Are they producers? Are they predators? That's what a guild means. So, these two creatures are of different guilds because, as we saw in kind of the opening cutscene to this battle, as soon as the demon showed up, the Striders were just fucking out of there. They were not into it until they were corrupted. And so, because they started running away, we can see that they have a natural fear response. Get out of here, Aloy! Oh god, she is just so unbelievably slow and it's killing me. The natural fear response tells us that they do not normally interact positively with the demon. And so, because these two species of different guilds are working together, that makes this mutualistic behavior. And what that means is that both species, regardless of their ecological dynamics, are finding benefit, a common benefit and a common goal from whatever activity they're engaging in together. Their common goal in this situation is just to defeat the humans, basically. That's all that they're going for. And, you know, they just succeeded in that goal. They killed me, and so they both got the shared benefit from it without taking anything from one another. There's different types of ecological dynamics that we can get into in future episodes, but for now, this is the one that matters because that's the one that's being displayed in this situation. But yeah, so those are just some hypotheticals of like the evolutionary behaviors and stuff, and you know, ecological benefits of the different behaviors displayed in these animals. And I'm really curious as to how they developed the... Get out of here! Really curious as to how they developed the behaviors of these animals. I mean, because clearly they're not real. So what animals did they base them on? Did they do actual, you know, ecological research in order to inform these behaviors? There's just a lot of questions that I have in mind that I'm super curious about. So I'm just gonna keep on dying. Thanks for watching, you guys. I really hope to see you in future episodes. I really enjoyed talking about kind of the evolutionary changes that these species went through, the habituation that these animals endured, or excuse me, the habituation levels that these animals display based on human-wildlife interactions over the last 15 to 20 years as the story tells. And in the future, we're going to talk more about mutualistic behaviors when it comes to Striders and Watchers. So definitely stay tuned for that. You can see full videos on Patreon in addition to other ecological and animal behavior related content. And these videos will be coming out every other week, so twice a month. And I really look forward to discussions coming from these videos. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in the future on SciComm Video Games.